Welcome, friends, it is I, your LostScarf, and it's time for the newest Smanswers, and sorry we didn't have one during the holidays. We know holidays are holidays. As you can tell, it's kind of bright over here, so I look like I am in Ghost, so that's kind of weird. In the background, we got Kirby being ridden by a cow, because of course we do. And I'm wearing a 24-hour shirt, because going to the game after this. So I'm going to be a little rusty, but we should get some good questions through this, and you're going to learn quite a bit, I think. So here we go. First up is, what exactly is the difference between soft and hard CC? And the difference is, hard CC interrupts your stuff, while CC does not. CC is more stat reduction, so slows, armor reduction, attack speed reduction, stuff like that. That is a soft CC, while hard CC doesn't let you do things. That would be, for example, stuns. You can't do anything during stun. Knock up and knock back, you can't do anything during those. Mez, you can't do anything. Stuff like that. Now, the two exceptions are silence and root, and both of these burst bubble. Root is a soft CC that robs you of your movement, but you can still do abilities and do basic attacks. Silence robs you of being able to cast, but you can still do basic attacks and movement. So those aren't really hard CCs, but they do burst bubble, and it's mentioned as exception for root in the description. I feel like silence doesn't get mentioned because that would just really bloat the description there. But that's really what the difference is. So the next question is, how do you deal with a hyper-aggressive pusher? And that is saying in the solo lane, if you're dealing with someone who's just pushing you really well, or maybe in the mid lane if someone's pushing you really well, how do you deal with that? And that is, you gotta passive up. This is assuming you're fighting your counter. You're fighting someone who is just superior to you in the laning phase. They're just really good at beating you down. They hurt you a lot, and they could even kill you if you take a bad risk. So you have to fight from your tower. So you gotta stalemate, try to farm up as much as you can, and ask your jungler for help. You really need your jungler to help you out so that they can at least push some pressure back so you can get more farm outside your tower, because if the tower is taking your golden XP from you, you're not going to do all that well later in the match, and if they can get a kill, even better. But really, you just need your jungler to help you out. You need them to release some of the pressure. They need to be the pressure valve for you. A jungler's job is to keep the lanes healthy, and that's you, of course, because you're mid or solo getting pushed pretty hard. But if your jungler just can't help you out, because maybe another lane's pushed or whatever, all you can do is fight from the tower and try your best not to get killed. Farm up as much as you can. Mid-game and late-game, when the team fighting phases happen, you'll be in a better position to just fight. Your laning phase was abysmal, but you can still come back and do something later on in the game. If you get killed a lot in the laning phase, then your opponent's going to be really strong. They're going to be even worse for your team in the team fighting phase. So you just want to minimize losses as much as you can if you can't handle what you're fighting. So on the other side of the coin, the question is, what do you do when a hunter is too timid and you're the guardian? Or any support, really. And the answer to that is, first off, try to ask them to be more aggressive. Don't be too aggressive about asking, but just say, we could get some kills if you try a little bit deeper or something like that. And if they don't want to do it, that means they're probably fighting for the late game. Because hunters and maybe magical ADCs are pretty strong as the match goes on. So they just want to focus on farming a lot and just be strong in the late game. It is kind of boring, but it is a viable way of doing the game. But if it doesn't work for your playstyle, then you have to do something else. And that is, after asking doesn't work, then you want to ward that part of the jungle and start roaming. Help out the solo lane, help out the mid lane, help out the jungle, maybe even help with counter jungling. Just help out somewhere else so that your hunter can get more XP and gold on their own. And since they're playing safe, they shouldn't get killed, hopefully too much or at all, depending on how dives are working against them. You can go back and help them out whenever you need to, but for the most part, just leave them on their own, let them farm up as much as they want, and take care of other things, and your team should be fine in the team fighting phase, as long as everything goes kinda well. So on the other side of the coin is, can healers support? And the answer is yes, they can, but you want to think about how good are they as supports. Now let's talk about Guardians. Why are they the best supports in the game? That's because their tankiness makes them hard to kill, they can peel and set up enemy gods with their CC, and they have some really good damage. They're really good for their situation as a support, and that's why they're used the most. Warriors, of course, are the second most used. They were used to be the majority used until the big warrior nerf. But they're still pretty effective. That's because they are tanky, they can do damage, they have good CC, and of course they can just set things up with that CC as well. And after the nerf, they're not as effective, but they can still be pretty effective, just not as much as a Guardian is now. Then you have a couple assassins who can kind of support pretty well. That's Fenrir and Naya. Both have a means of stunning and a means of setting someone up, and they can be built pretty tanky and not die very much. And that's pretty good for them. But then we got the healers, and that would be Aphrodite, Chang'e, Hel, and Ra. Going over Ra first, Ra's got the best clear in the game. He can stalemate a lane forever. He can heal very well. He's got the best heal in the game after all. But he doesn't have any peel. He just doesn't have any peel. He doesn't have any setup. He can slow someone down to set them up. That's not as effective as a stun. Also because it just can't interrupt either. So Ra can just hold a lane very well, but that's not all that great. Not really. Same thing goes for health. She's got a cleanse to save a team. She's got the best burst heal in the game, being the second best cumulatively, just behind Rob, barely. And she can just do a lot for her team, but she can't peel either. Then you got Chang'e and Aphra, who do have some peel. Chang'e can, of course, ult to peel. She can also ult to set up with just, well, her Waxing Moon. She can set up an entire team of 5 if she gets lucky enough to do it, and that team can get destroyed. Her heal's not so great. She can clear kind of well, but that's about it. Aphrodite, probably the best support out of the healers because she can one-to-one heal somebody very well, back off the opponent, stun the opponent, clear a lane kind of well if she needs to, and of course she's got her ultimate. So Aphrodite's probably the best support when it comes to healers. They can all support though, but she's the best bet you got if you want to be a healer. So the final question today is Frostbanhammer or Hasten Fatalist? And my answer to that is most gods, Hasten Fatalist. And the reason for that is the boxing potential. Hasten Fatalist allows you to hit somebody and move, hit somebody and move. Just dodge and strike, dodge and strike, dodge and strike, dodge and strike. That's what you can do with them. While Frostbanhammer, you're about just hitting them and ignoring their damage. You don't care how much they're hitting you. All you care about is killing them first. And that's why you usually see it on Osiris, because he's so tanky he can handle the damage he's taking while beating someone to death. While his hunters usually can't do that. So you're usually building with Hasten Fatalist so that they can shoot and then move, shoot and move, shoot and move, stuff like that. Or, well, shooting while moving, of course. And they can just deal with whatever's coming their way. They usually have crits or Quinsize or even Lifesteal to help them survive if they do get hit despite moving around and hitting so hard with the Hasten Fatalist. So that's really the way I see it is Frostbanhammer, basically better for the tankier gods, usually warriors, and then Osiris, and then, like, Osiris is the king of the Frostbanhammer. And then to a lesser extent you see it on Sun Wukong and Hercules and stuff like that. While as the Hasten Fatalist you see on a lot of hunters, a lot of assassins, and even some warriors as well, because they want to move around and cause damage instead of just being there and taking damage while hitting somebody. And that's really the difference there. Squishies get haste, tanks get FBH. So there you go, that right there is Smanswers. And I think I answered these pretty well. Some fumbles here and there, but those are some good questions, and I think we gave some pretty good answers. And as always, you can put your thoughts in the comments and say why you feel whatever you feel. If you agree or disagree with me, just say why so we can have more thought process going in the comments so everyone can learn better. And of course, you can ask questions for next week in the comments. And if you're too shy to ask in the comments, you can always ask at smitesmanswers@gmail.com. So there you go with that. And thank you to everyone. And let's have a lot of fun this year.